Tuvalu is a tiny island country in the Pacific Ocean, located between Australia and Hawaii. It consists of 9 low-lying coral atolls and islands, covering just 26 square kilometers. We have a population of around 11,000 people. For us, climate change is not a future or a distant threat. It is something that is happening right now. We are in the forefront of this climate crisis.
These beautiful remote Pacific islands are ground zero for the global climate catastrophe. Within decades, Tuvalu could be wiped off the map.
On a scale from 1 to 10, the vulnerability of Tuvalu to climate change is 10.
Richard Gochran heads the Tuvalu Climate Action Network, known as TUCAN. He's fighting for his country's very survival.
It's getting more severe in terms of cyclones, in terms of the temperature, droughts that we are also been facing in here, and the sea level rise.
What is the future for Tuvalu if the world does not address climate change and if Australia does not phase out its fossil fuel production and export?
Yeah, that is one of the fearful aspects for the future of Tuvalu, where we are most likely going to be disappear. The nightmare for the people of Tuvalu of having their fate disappear from this earth.
How many years?
Within 50 years.
On current projections of rising sea levels, the average high tide will swamp much of the land by mid-century.
If we are not doing anything, sea level rises where it's gonna force us to be displaced from our own country. It's terrible. We're gonna lose our land, we're gonna lose our culture, we're gonna lose our identity if the world is not contributing to sustain the lives of the Tuvaluans.
In the evenings, Richard hosts a barbecue stand at his home in the capital, Funafuti. It's a meeting place for locals.
You know, at the end of the day, it's kind of sitting around together, having some talk, but more of a social place where we come around, sit around and have some cover.
Here we meet Kalisi Sogavalu. He's secretary of the Chamber of Commerce and a custodian of traditional ways of farming.
We've been taught by our elders how to plant this, the way to, to cultivate the soil and everything.
Now, climate change is spoiling the crops.
Do you worry?
No, very much. I am worried.
In the daylight, Kalisi takes us up to the grounds where he grows a staple food, palaka or swamp taro.
Going up that way. All those are mine.
Rising sea levels are pushing water up from underground, causing salinity and drowning traditional crops.
Stephen, see the level of the water here? And this is not good, because the water is a little bit salty and,
That's brackish water?
Yeah, brackish water.
Yeah. And so this is on the low tide.
This is on the low tide. Now it's already low. At the very lowest point now, it's about 12. And the level of the water is increasing every year.
What does this mean for the crops?
They are not healthy. We are starting to lose one of our main diet. I'm very emotional when I look at this. It's very bad. And it saddened me that the next generation will never see this kind of, or taste this kind of food again, unless we can do something.
Food security, it's declining. We can no longer depend on our a stable food as our food security. Now we are highly depending on imported food into the country. How much do we have to import? We almost import everything. Yeah.
In the afternoons, the airstrip next to the Palaka pits becomes a makeshift playing field. Except when it's underwater. Rain is not the cause of this flood. Rising seas force water up through the earth. Wow, look at this.
Yes, look at this.
So
The underground water.
this bubbles up from underground?
Yes, this is from the underground.
Samoya Tuti works for the Tuvalu Meteorological Service. She and her colleagues are preparing for a king tide still days away. But already, at high tide, a mass of salt water is seeping through the ground.
King tide, it's only once in a year. So it's going to be peak this Friday. So this is the largest high tide in the year. So 3.26 this Friday. But
So let's pray.
there is no strong wind at that time.
In 2023, the king tide coincided with high winds and extreme weather, causing chaos. Locals fear it will happen again.
What I am worried most is to save my people.
This is the consequence of climate change. Australia likes to present itself as part of the Pacific family, the big brother if you like. But that rhetoric evokes a lot of cynicism here in Tuvalu, given that Australia's fossil fuel exports are contributing to the climate change that could destroy this country.
How would you feel if a country that is meant to help, to protect, is the one slowly destroying you, little by little? We feel devastated, of course, because this is our home and this is the reality that we are facing.
Giti Yi is part of an emerging generation of young climate leaders in the Pacific.
I see myself as a climate warrior. I fight for my country and I fight for what we believe in. I fight for our right to live, our right to prosper, for our future generations, for our parents, our elders, our ancestors who are buried here. Because I don't want my bones to be buried somewhere else. I want to be buried here. I want to live here because this is home. This is where I feel safe. This is everything to me.
Australia is offering Tuvaluans a path to migration under what's known as the Falapili Union.
It's about supporting the people of Tuvalu's to stay and thrive here on islands, or if they choose to live, work and study in Australia.
What the Honourable Penwang was saying was that if a Tuvaluan chooses to migrate, but we could also use that if Australia chooses to stop fossil fuel, what about that?
The Australian government knows that nothing is more central to the security and well-being of the Pacific than climate change.
My message to Australia is that if Australia wants to be a good big brother, as they say they are, to the Pacific, they should really stop expanding and exporting fossil fuel. So Stephen, this is where they built the reclaimed land to protect the island from coastal erosion and even storm surges.
Giti shows me one of the many efforts to combat climate change. So they've literally sandbagged this area and lifted the coastline up higher to avoid the storm surges.
Yes, exactly.
So that protects this part of the island. But what about the other islands?
Exactly. What about the other islands? Of course, Tuvalu is taking all these adaptation measures, but that is just a band-aid for us. What we need to do is that we really need to stop the core cause of this problem.
Talofa, Marian. So nice to see you.
It's nice to see you, Stephen. How's it?
Marian Faliasiu works for Fusialofa, a disability organisation. I first met her when she came to Australia on a climate fellowship.
Colleagues, this is Lassie.
Talofa, Lassie. People with disabilities are especially vulnerable to the impact of climate change. How well understood is it that climate change has a really big impact on people with disabilities?
From my experience, it's not well known.
Marian's colleague Lassie is vision impaired. She nearly died in a cyclone that ravaged her island.
I think it's something that we need to focus on to make sure that persons with disability are not left behind.
It's D-Day for the king tide. After it hits, large areas of the main island are inundated. So there's water everywhere, and it is definitely salt water, but fortunately the winds have stayed moderate, sparing Tuvalu from the feared combination of extreme seas, fierce wind and heavy rain, at least for now.
The intensity of cyclones, it keeps on increasing. And when that will happen and coincide together, the vulnerability of us is at a very high level.
The day after the king tide, we head out from the mainland to one of Tuvalu's other islands, Funafala, where they're fighting against the rising tides. I'm joined by Marian and Gitty and another young climate activist, Aselu O'Brien.
Talofa guys, welcome to Funafala. Got families residing here in Funafala for quite some time, and I'll be showing you guys around.
Thank you, Aselu. Aselu has been involved in efforts here to mitigate the impacts of climate change.
Youths used to come and plant these mangroves over the years.
You used to plant them?
Yes, I came one time with a bunch of groups of youth to plant these mangroves.
The mangroves help to fight coastal erosion, but few remain.
You can see these mangroves are surviving. This is the only mangroves that are surviving at the moment. And you know, along this area, mangroves have died off.
How many did you plant altogether?
More than 1,000.
Oh, so this is a tiny amount that's left.
Yes, this is the tiny amount that is left.
What do you think the mitigation efforts are worth?
Well, these mitigations are good, but then, you know, it's not enough.
Another project built with international aid seems more successful.
Come on in here, I'll show you a few plants that, crops that they grow in here. So yeah, we got cucumbers over here, got cabbage, and then we got some chilies over there.
I love chilies.
Yeah, also some papayas over there.
The wonderful garden grows crops in elevated tubs of clean soil, free from salinity caused by the rising seas. For this tiny island, it's a bounty, but these measures can't feed the whole nation, and they don't deal with the wider threat. How do you feel when you hear that Australia is approving new coal mines and expanding gas production?
I feel really sad about that because, you know, we Tuvalu, we contributing less into the global emission, but we suffer the most. The feeling at the moment is I fear that the kids, the next generation of Tuvalu, they won't get to see the beauty of the island, feel the culture, the experience that what we have experienced when we were younger.
On Funafala, Gitty shares a poem she and Marian wrote about their country's fight for survival.
The ocean rises, relentless and cold, swallowing stories once fiercely told. Where the waves now claim the land, once stood villages built by hand. Palm trees whisper in the wind's embrace, ghosts of songs, of dances erased. Children play where ancestors prayed, yet now the tides wash it all away. Our voices fade in the ocean's roar. Our homes, our roots will be no more. The land we love, the life we knew, all lost beneath the sea's cruel blue. Who will remember us when we are gone? Who will sing our children's song? As we vanish, land by land, our world forgets we ever stand. We reach for hope, but it's swept away by the waves that steals our yesterday. We are fighting for our Maori, Te Roi, ao Te Tapamoa. We are fighting for our health, peace and prosperity. Tuvalu, mo te atua. Tuvalu, with God.
Tuvalu is a litmus test for humanity. Will we sacrifice this small island nation and others like it on the altar of fossil fuels? Or will the world get serious about stopping rising temperatures and rising seas?
It's not only the fate of Tuvalu. If Tuvalu will disappear, that is also what is going to happen to others. No one will be spared.
Phase out fossil fuel and start saving Tuvalu, because if you save Tuvalu, you save the world.
If you want to save the world, you have to start with the little things. Save Tuvalu, save the world. Yeah.